Pepper says, "Are you ready? Because we are going to make this house look good." In this episode, we're going to be back into the living room, and Miss Pepper will be overseeing our progress and how well we're doing. Because the living room is the hottest of hot spots, it has to be maintained daily. So I'm going to be using Dawn's book, Declutter Your Home. I'm going to be taking a section out of her book and applying it to our mess, because we are a very creative family and we make beautiful messes all the time. This is Ty's. He's been working this morning on his projects, and he will clean it up later when I'm done recording in here. There's also this over here. This we definitely have to declutter and clean. And we also have to sort this mess out too. It's in front of the TV, and it's a bunch of Nintendo Switch games, some Wii games, and Tyler had pulled them all out of this drawer because he wants to have this in his bedroom. When he has his bedroom reveal and glow up, he wants to have his own TV and all of his games organized in there. So we'll work on that. Okay, so we are really going to focus on this spot right here, because this is definitely one of the hottest of the hot spots, including the table, because it's in the living room. We're always in the living room. It's where we eat. It's where we watch TV. It's where we have family game night. It's where we do arts and crafts and everything. So this really has to have a lot of energy as far as decluttering and organizing it and doing it on a weekly basis. So I'm going to be using Dawn's book, because in her book, she has a section called Main Living Area Storage Spaces. So I'm going to be using this, following what the workbook says, and then executing it and hoping that it works for us. Because I mean, I am ADHD, right? And my mind's like ding, 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 it like goes everywhere, and I have sometimes a hard time focusing. But I know for me and my ADHD, if it's quick and it's easy and it's accessible, I'm more successful to keep up with it. When there's too many things going on, oh no. So we're going to do the process, and the process says step 1, and it says open the first storage space. This might be a TV cabinet, an armoire in the corner, or an ottoman that opens. You only need to pick one. Okay, so luckily for step number 2, we kind of already went through the bins and already labeled things for categories. So we're kind of good in that. And it's just a matter of just like pulling it out, right? Like these are my journals and my binders and my markers, because I just love that. I love stationery. I love journaling. So I'm actually kind of happy that this part is done. But what you would do is you would kind of see what's contained in the basket and stuff, and kind of sort out these categories, which luckily we already did. And it'd just be a matter of just going through these baskets, decluttering anything we don't need, and then kind of working our way up. For step 3, we're going to get rid of apparent trash and donations, things that are broken, outdated, and not used. Now, since I already defined my categories, I'm just going to be going through those baskets and taking out what we can let go of. Now, for step 4, what you'll be doing is grouping like with like items so you can see what inventory you have. Like these expo markers, they didn't belong in the basket. They actually belonged in my little homeschool caddy for the kids. Now it's a homeschool caddy because they're back in school, but this is where it belongs so I can see everything they have. And step 5 is if you find items that belong somewhere else in the house, take it and put it back into its proper location. And step 6 is organize the items in this space in a way that it makes them most functional. And for my kids, this is most functional because they can just pull the basket out, grab what they need, pull it out really quickly, and when they're done with it, they can also really quickly return it. These are the 6 steps that we're going to be using in each individual cubby today as we clean and organize it. And if you would like a copy of her book, please go to the link in the description box below because she does have more information about living room spaces in her book. And as we continue through the cubbies, I'm also going to be adding my little tweaks to it because I am ADHD. I am a recovering hoarder, but that doesn't mean that all of my hoarding behaviors have disappeared. I still have them. They're just on a less grander scale. Like these folders, they're actually brand new and I could probably declutter them and let them go, but I also would like to save them for this upcoming school year and save us some money. So it's kind of defining what's that fine line between hoarding and being resourceful and frugal. Well, for me, defining that is that I have 1 bin of school supply, office supplies. That's all I got to allow myself. Once I start getting to 2 and 3 bins, then we've crossed over that boundary. So keeping all of my office supplies, school supplies in this bin is acceptable. And that's what it's all about. It's about taking Dawn's strategy and maybe my ideas and even customizing it to your own way of how you would like to keep your house. Now, as I'm moving on to here, these crayons, Tyler doesn't use them as much as he used to. He uses paint though. He uses paint, oh my gosh, almost every day. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go into my basement to my hoarded storage bin stash and pick another similar bin because I knew that I had another green bin similar in size. And there it is. It's not clear like the other 2, but that's okay. It will work. And I already have the labels in my hoarded craft stash that we're going to use. And labeling is important for everyone, but it's almost essential for ADHD because again, I need it quick and easy. And I'm talking from my own personal experience because I'm sure everybody else experiences their ADHD as well as their hoarding a little differently, but there's a lot of similarities. And of course, I have to have the items very easily accessible right near where I'm at. And I know at its core, that's really for everybody, but it's almost essential in my ADHD mind because it's always racing. It's always jumping to the next idea, the next thought, the next everything. And I'm always tossing, leaving, not finishing, having trouble focusing. And most of the time, my body is on autopilot because it cannot keep up with all of my thoughts. So that's why to be successful, it has to be a quick 1-2-step action, no more than 2 steps. It has to be accomplished very easily when my body's on autopilot. And that's why Dawn started us out with those 6-step process. Very simple, very easy to follow. But the end goal was basically that everything has a home. You pull the basket out, you put the stuff back, which all of us need to fine tune in this house since this is a very hot spot. And it's also very important to give yourself grace during this journey if you're trying to heal from hoarding disorder, if you're just trying to be neater and tidier. Something that I had to accept was that spaces get messy and that it was okay that it got messy and that I wasn't a failure because it had happened again. As a recovering hoarder, I had this misconception that once I decluttered it, then I was done. I was good. There was no more messes. But that's not true. My family lives here, and as much as I try to limit what comes into the door, things just come in. And it's things that we have to maintain, we have to put back, we have to declutter, and it just has to be a part of our habits. That's something I never did. My habits and my behaviors were of hoarding since I was a little girl. I found security in all the things. I humanized it. I loved all of the little stuff because it expressed my creativity. It never stressed me out. The only time that it started stressing me out was when I started seeing that it was affecting my children's quality of life. and their behaviors and their habits. I want to be the last generation who had struggled with hoarding disorder. So that's why we're doing all this now. So for Tyler, I'm going to have him organize this Mod Podge of games that we've accumulated over the years. So I'd gotten baskets that were already in the basement from Dollar Tree and just separated into easy categories for him. I want my boys to develop those skills that I never did at their age, like getting rid of trash, being able to identify what is a donation that they don't want anymore, and grouping like with like items so they can see what inventory they have and if they have duplicates of things. And since Tyler is planning out what he wants his room to look like, these skills are so important that he can downsize and have categories of the actual items he enjoys and letting go of things he doesn't anymore. And that leads us right into our tossy pile. This is what we're letting go of today, and we're going to recycle it as best as we can. And now Pepper is a very happy kitty to be able to show you the newly cleaned spaces. The boys, while I was making dinner, cleaned off the table, and they were very easily able to put things back where they belong in the cubby spaces. So when the question is asked, can a hoarder become a minimalist? Well, absolutely they can. Because minimalism looks different to everybody. If you were to see where I was as a level 4 hoarder to where I am now, this would technically be a form of minimalism to me, but maybe not to somebody else. What's most important is the person's journey as they're decluttering, as they're letting go, as they are healing past traumas, as they're learning new habits and strategies to become more organized and have less stuff, and know that it's very peaceful and tranquil when you do own less stuff. I didn't know that before, but I do know that now. And I just feel inspired that in the future, we're really going to be changing this living room. I'm excited. I have a couple of ideas, and I think it's going to be a fun summer project to finally get this living room to the space that I so wanted for my family. And I really pray that this video has encouraged you to declutter and clean something up today.
She is just being Miss Love. Miss Love. Oh my goodness. Who's the lovely girl? Oh, yes, she loves